All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Virginia Tech Shenandoah Valley Agricultural Research and Extension Center. This is also, of course, known as the McCormick Farm. My name is Gabriel Pent. I'm the superintendent here. On July 12th, 1894, the Baltimore Sun published a romanticized observation of harvest time a century before. Quote, "In the olden time, the wheat harvest was a time of great excitement on the farm. In the harvest fields, there were large gangs of men cutting wheat with cradles, and each cradler followed by a binder. There was a great deal of noise and merriment, promoted to some extent by the bucket of ice water, kept in the shade of a shock of wheat. Tucked away near the bucket, there was always to be found a stone jug. The men became much heated, and they did not consider it prudent to drink ice water straight." End quote. Into that era and into the annals of our history book came the McCormick family. Robert McCormick, his wife Mary Ann Hall, their 8 children, and a number of slaves lived and farmed here on the ground beneath you. The rural landscape of the Shenandoah Valley at that time, this is the early 1800s, was very active, with the production of wheat being the cash crop that fed the growing nation. During harvest time, the fields would be covered with white figures on the golden landscape, cradlers as they were known, that harvested wheat by hand, in much the same way that Egyptians harvested wheat millennia before. Robert McCormick amassed a farm of 1,800 acres. He had a couple grist mills, including the one that is behind me. He had a smelting furnace and some other enterprises. The blacksmith shop here was the manufacturing and repair center for the farm tools. At that time, ingenuity was a necessity of survival. Robert's eldest son, Cyrus, at the age of 22, took over a project that his father, Robert, had started, the development of a mechanical grain harvesting device. Later, Cyrus would spend much of his life fighting over the claim of the inventor of the first mechanical reaper, and much of the truth is hidden behind legal wranglings over patents. But there's certainly no doubt that the whole family, including Robert and Joe Anderson, the slave and companion to Cyrus, played a significant part in the reaper. So in July of 1831, Cyrus rolled out the reaper out of this blacksmith shop behind me, took it down to a little field where there was a little stand of wheat left standing from that summer's harvest, and cut it down with the reaper. He took it back to the shop, did a couple tweaks on it, rolled it back out a few days later, went down to the house of John Steele, just a little bit of ways from here, and harvested 6 acres of oats in one afternoon. A writer in 1909 said, "Such a thing at that time was incredible. It was equal to the work of 6 laborers with size." Sales finally picked up a decade later, and then Cyrus moved the company to Chicago, where his family transformed that town at the time into a city, much the same way that the reaper transformed the entire world. I've noticed that as many people lament the industrials, or what we have lost since the industrialization of agriculture, not as many are willing to pick up a scythe and head to the fields on foot. But certainly society has been transformed in significant ways as farm machines became faster. The modern grain combines, now harvest up to 200 acres a day. Less than 2% of the United States population is involved in agricultural production. Inventions such as the reaper, the plow, the tractor, the combines, fertilizer, and pesticides, and breeding programs boosted yields in ways that were simply unthinkable just decades earlier. The experiment stations, originating from the Memorial Land Grant Act of 1862, helped facilitate that transformation, and Virginia Tech is proud of its 150-year history supporting and enabling Virginia farmers through Virginia Cooperative Extension and through the agricultural experiment stations such as this one. Over time, however, yield on the farms did slow, and pests became super pests, and water became contaminated, and there's no doubt that there are significant issues facing agricultural production today as we attempt to protect our natural resources, but also help our communities, urban and rural communities, thrive. We know that we have only scratched the surface of our interconnectedness and interdependence between our agricultural communities, our ecological communities, and our societies. Oliver Wendell Holmes, who was Associate Supreme Court Justice of the United States for 30 years, early in the 1900s, once stated, you've probably heard this, quote, "I would not give a fig for the simplicity this side of complexity, but I would give my life for the simplicity on the other side of complexity." Harvesting grain with a scythe is arduous, but it's simple. Our studies of agriculture, ecology, and sociology have showed us how little we actually really know. I think I'm ready for a little simplicity. Secretary Lohr, thank you for partnering with us and with Virginia Tech in support of the Virginia farmer. And Governor Youngkin, thank you as well for your support of the Virginia farmer and by extension everyone in Virginia. So thank you all for attending. Delegate Buddy Fowler, would you like to come make your remarks?
Thank you. It's really, I think, a privilege, I guess you could say, for from a delegate from the farm in Hanover County to come out here into what we call the breadbasket of Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley. So it's great to be here. And again, and I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my friend and colleague, Miss Ellen Campbell here, Delegate Campbell. It's good to see you as always. Again, agriculture is the largest, I guess we'll call it industry in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And of course, I think our job is to keep it that way, working with the governor and Secretary Lohr and the administration on things that we can do to, make our farmers, more productive and more profitable is something that we need to do. And I think that's something that everyone supports. And I think, and then next to that, I think one thing I know the governor and the administration are working on constantly is also to expand our markets for our farmers to send their products, to, and it's again to make more money for the farmers. So again, this is something that the House Ag Committee, and I think, and also Senate Ag Committee is working on feverishly in order to find ways where we can again make our farmers, more profitable and more productive. And again, I just want to thank y'all for the privilege to be here. And without any further ado, I just want to introduce the Senator. Here we go, Senator Mark Obenshain.
Thank you. All right. Well, it's great to be here, Gabriel. We in Virginia, we have part-time legislature. And in addition to being a member of the General Assembly, I also happen to be an attorney. I did note the disdain with which you mentioned the legal wrangling over the ownership of the intellectual property rights to the reaper. And I would remind you that legal wrangling has its precedent in the 7th Amendment of the United States Constitution, part of the Bill of Rights. So it is all interconnected. So it is part of American history and part of our culture, that legal wrangling too. So don't forget that. It is great to be here. And I represent the Central Shenandoah Valley, part of Virginia that my grandmother used to call the gentle fold in the palm of God's hand. And it's great to see these 4-H and FFA members here. What's the number 1 ag-producing county in Virginia? Rockingham. What's the number 2 ag-producing county in Virginia? Augusta. There you go. And number probably 4 is Page County. All of those are in the district that I represent. Agriculture could not be more important to the area of Virginia that I represent and could not be more important to the economy of Virginia. But the face of agriculture is constantly changing. And this legislation that we are here today to witness the signing of the legislation is really, truly reflective of the changing face of agriculture in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Virginia Tech is at the forefront of research and development. I'm proud of my Hokie roots too, but it is so important to be here. It's so important to embrace the change that is happening in agriculture in Virginia. I just appreciate the governor's support for this initiative, his initiative in seeking its introduction and passage. I was very pleased to be a part of this, helping to shepherd it through the Senate. So, Governor, thank you very much for your efforts. Buddy, thank you for your efforts in the House. And with that, I have the task of introducing my neighbor, a guy who lives about a mile up the road from me in Rockingham County. Matt Lohr. I've known Matt for, 20 couple years, and Matt helped this lawyer learn an awful lot about agriculture. I grew up working the summers on my grandfather's farm in Blacksburg, but Matt really helped me understand the needs of farmers in this changing environment in the agricultural industry. And I'll tell you, Matt has a daughter who happens to be president of the student body of Virginia Tech. But I remember Caroline when she was showing her first lamb at the Rockingham County Fair. And I bought that lamb at the county fair. And Caroline came up to me and said, Mr. Mark, I am so glad you bought my lamb because I know that I can come visit it anytime I want. And I said, Matthew Lohr, would you get over here right now? It is not my job to acquaint your daughter with the agricultural facts of life. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Secretary of Agriculture for the Commonwealth of Virginia, Matthew Lohr.
Thank you, Mark. All right. I have to say, Senator, that's one of the most unique introductions I think I've ever had. So, thank you so much for that, and thanks to you and Delegate Fowler, Delegate Campbell. Thank you all for being here and for your support of this. And what a great day here in the Shenandoah Valley. I love it when we get some of our agricultural community and stakeholders together, gathering. It's such a beautiful day, a beautiful spot, this historic farm, and be able to really reflect on our past. Gabe, thanks for that history lesson. Reflect on where we've been, but more importantly with today, to really take a chance to reflect on where we're going and focusing on the future. And it is certainly an exciting day in agriculture. I want to thank all of our controlled environment ag or CEA businesses that are here. Would you please, if you're here as part of one of the companies, go ahead and stand or raise your hand, please. Just want to recognize you guys. Thank you. Over the last year and a half in my travels, I've thoroughly enjoyed having a chance to meet most of you and visit many of your operations and learn more about what you do. And just want to say thank you for being a part of what we're so proud of in Virginia and the work that we're doing. And so you are the reason that we're doing this. And just want to thank you so much for your partnership. Also, a lot of you who have been able to be here have been taking advantage of our APHID grants through VDOCs and working with VDP. Michelle Bridges, somewhere here with our APHID team. Michelle, thank you for the work that you're doing, and the VEDP folks for being able to make these operations happen. So about 16 months ago, when the governor and I were just getting started in this job, we sat down and we had a chance to talk about agriculture and where we are, and then more importantly, talking about the future. And thanks to our 4-H and FFAers here, because you truly are the future of our industry and are what we're fighting for. But as we had this conversation about the state of affairs of agriculture and talking about opportunities for the future, that next generation, we started talking about the indoor growing of food, and the governor was very fascinated about the technology that's being done and the work that we had done previously, but more importantly about what we could do going forward. And I have to say that the words that he said that day were very, very simple. He said, well, Matt, now that I know about this, let's just make it our goal to be the best, to be the #1 CEA state in America and in even the world, so this can be a destination for companies wanting to come here and grow their food indoors. And so we are here today to build on that momentum. We have several initiatives that have taken place. The governor's going to share about in his remarks, but also to be here to celebrate this bill that will be signed today, because it will go a long way towards being able to attract more companies to Virginia to make them successful. It's always an honor when I have a chance to introduce the governor. And I want to start off by thanking him for being our #1 supporter and our #1 promoter of all things ag and forestry. It's been said today that agriculture is our number one industry. We all know that. Forestry is number 3. Together, a combined economic input of over $103 billion. Nearly 500,000 Virginians are employed in ag and forestry. And I have to say that the governor and his beautiful first lady wife are always coming to me and saying, what can we do to help promote, to get more of our Virginia products into the hands of more consumers? And when you have a boss like that, it really makes our job so much fun and makes it easy. And our team, we got Parker Slayball here and Beth Green is part of my team. We want to thank you, Governor, for supporting our industries and for making our job so fun. When you travel around the state, you'll see agriculture is so diverse. No matter where you go in Virginia, it's a different part of agriculture, but the governor's goal is to see all parts of the industry thrive and all parts to grow for all of our farmers to succeed. And certainly excited today to be able to celebrate and recognize the indoor farming component of this industry. Governor, thank you for what you do. Ladies and gentlemen, our 74th governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Honorable Glenn Youngkin.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you all. And please have a seat. Thank you. And Matt, thank you for the kind introduction. And Senator, I think you got off light with your lamb. When I bought my lamb at the Rockingham County Fair, the young gentleman who had been responsible for raising it came back, and I gave it back to him. And then he sold it again. I thought that was a pretty good deal.
That wouldn't have been a teaching moment.
He did a good job selling it twice. I want to thank everybody for coming, and Delegate Fowler, and particularly Delegate Fowler and Senator Obenshane. Thank you for your leadership on this legislation that we're getting ready to sign today. And I think that Secretary Lohr really framed it well, which is the fact is that agriculture is so important to the Commonwealth of Virginia, and it will always be so. You know, I was really thrilled when we were able to announce the record growth in ag exports from the Commonwealth of Virginia. And our international exports went in 1 year from 4 billion to 5 billion in 1 year. And that was really hard work on behalf of the entire industry to find new markets and to really help the world recognize that Virginia grown means something. And I was really proud of that. And again, Delegate Campbell, thank you for being here and thank you for your leadership. And Dr. Pent, I want to thank you for the exceptional work that you do here at the Shenandoah Valley Agricultural Research and Extension Center. And I have already set out to come back again and make sure I get a chance to take a really in-depth tour, because I think understanding where we have come from helps us have a clear vision about where we are going. And where we are going, of course, is going to depend on the leadership of the FFA and the 4-H leaders that we have here today. Thank you for loving agriculture. Thank you for loving the Commonwealth of Virginia. And thank you for your eagerness to run into what is going to continue to be the largest, most important industry in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I just want to thank all of you. You guys are amazing. So today we're going to celebrate and sign a bill, but celebrate the hard work that it takes in order to create a very important piece of legislation. And what happened in the life of House Bill 1563 and Senate Bill 1240 was the effort on behalf of our administration and our partners in the General Assembly to continue to push Virginia forward and to recognize that agriculture as the backbone of the Commonwealth of Virginia and America continues to need innovation, just like we've seen here at Cyrus McCormick Farm, the launching pad for agricultural innovation for the world. And I guess I'm unabashedly proud, but at the end of the day, Cyrus, who was a homegrown Virginian, and then he had a small problem and got confused and went to Illinois. And I have to say that my guess is if he were still alive, he'd be renting a U-Haul and coming back to Virginia as fast as he could, like so many Americans. But I mean, he earned the name the father of modern agriculture for good reason. And as we heard, he fundamentally transformed the agricultural industry. And that is what's going on today. See, the spirit of innovation is woven right into the spirit of Virginia. And that's why I'm so excited about the innovation that we're seeing in the world of indoor farming or controlled environment agriculture. See, Secretary Lohr's right. I think that when we have already the number one industry in Virginia being agriculture, and we see a massive development like indoor farming, we should go get that. And it should be a cornerstone of the future of the broader agriculture industry in Virginia. We know that it's going to be hugely important to the future of agriculture. We also know that the controlled environment agriculture industry produces more food on less land and with less resources in a more sustainable way, and it can address real challenges in food insecurity, and it can also bolster greater efficiency. And we also know that Virginia has an early lead in this rapidly growing sector. And for those of you that are working with me, I don't like small leads. I like big leads. And so I think this is a chance for us to take the early wins that we've got as a state and fundamentally double down, hit the accelerator, and let's go ahead and put this competition behind us and make Virginia the number one state for controlled environment agriculture, not just in the nation, but in the world. And so we went to work on this right out of the box with three pillars that we thought were critical to make it impossible for business leaders to choose to go someplace else. Pillar number one is research. And we need to be driving industry innovation to continuously move the marker forward so we can leave others behind. And one great example is the partnership that is between Virginia Tech and the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research in Danville. And the work that's going on here is extraordinary. I had a chance to visit it last month, and I was wowed by not just the capabilities that were there, but the collaborative nature of the research center itself and Virginia Tech, but industry that is also involved in solving real problems with the most extraordinary researchers and coming up with solutions that can then be transferred right into the industry. They have a hands-on approach to building and creating technology right there, and technology that is immediately transferable and put to use. I think this kind of unique partnership is the model of the future, a model of the future that's housed in a state-of-the-art research center with the most advanced capabilities out of Virginia Tech, but with industry deeply engaged. I don't think there's another one like this in the world, and that's why we're so proud of it. The second pillar is strengthening our workforce and having the best talent to go work in this industry. They're high-paying, rewarding jobs. And so when it comes to agriculture, we have got to continue to invest and foster this extraordinary talent pool. And again, we see great work going on. The GoTech program is one of the leading examples. We had a chance to work with them and understand how, again, they're bringing industry needs. They're working all the way through our school systems and particularly introducing into middle school, first-hand training programs and exposure to careers in indoor farming. I mean, this is where it begins, and this is how we build a long-term talent pool. And of course, finally, we have to be the best place to do business. And that means making sure that we have streamlined regulations. We understand how to help people navigate the regulatory quagmire, that we're doing everything we can to slash away, but then also lowering taxes and making it a great place to invest. And that's why this bill signing today is so important. We worked tirelessly with our partners in the General Assembly, and we partnered with industry leadership in order to pull in best practices. And what that translated to is we have to be competitive. We have to be competitive with other states so that it is economically advantageous to come here. And the clear answer was an agricultural sales tax exemption. And that exemption can be used to support the use and development of all of the critical components that we use in indoor controlled environment agriculture. And with that, with that addition, I put into my budget amendments additional research and development support to benefit all the agriculture industry and ag tech. And when the General Assembly sends me a bill, and I know, Senator, you want to send me one, and Delegate, you want to send me one, but can we just get the Senate Democrats off their chair and send us a budget so we can get moving here? Sorry, a little political comment, but I have $1 million in there that'll go towards enhancing ag tech research on top of what we're talking about. $2.5 million will be distributed over the biennium for our agriculture and forestry industries development grants so that we can support building businesses in the world of agriculture here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have huge momentum. And so one of the things that I'm really excited about is this fall, we will host the first of its kind controlled environment agriculture conference in Leesburg, Virginia, aptly called the Great Indoors. It'll be in September on the 25th and the 26th. It'll be an incredible opportunity for leaders across the spectrum of industries to come together and to collaborate to make Virginia the #1 place for controlled environment agriculture in the world. And see, the great thing about a conference like this is because we are out in front, we will have all the best folks, the best companies, the best researchers, the best capital providers all show up. And that's how we get even better. See, innovation is critical to creating a resilient and reliable food supply while responding to consumer demand for healthier and more sustainable food options. This is where we are. And I'll tell you, one of my key goals is I want made in America to mean made in Virginia, and I want grown in America to mean grown in Virginia. And I mean rain in America means it should be raining in Virginia, just like it is right now. God bless water. So I hope you'll all join me at the conference in September. So finally, as we press forward here, this country and Virginia was built by farmers. Our great Commonwealth has powered our nation through some of our most challenging times because of our agriculture industry. I want everyone to know that the agriculture industry is at the heart of the spirit of Virginia. And therefore, we're going to continue to go to work every day in order to support it. I want to thank everybody here for your great contributions. And now, before we all get too wet, let's go sign a bill. Let's go for it. Good time. God bless rain. Yep. Rain makes corn. Corn makes whiskey. How's everybody? Hey. Good to see you. What?
I fell down some steps.
Oh no. Oh no. Come on up. Are you on the road to recovery?
Yep. Also, yeah.
Good. All right, who's been to a bill signing before?
Me.
Okay, a few, not everybody. So the reason why there are two bills is that this bill's so important, we had to have a House version and a Senate version. Then they worked together through committees in order to reconcile them. And then we sign both just to make sure that we don't miss anything and we get them both in the code. And so I'm going to start with our House bill. As we've talked about, the House bill, which was patroned by Delegate Buddy Fowler, and the chief co-patron was Delegate Roxanne Robinson. And as we said, this bill will eliminate the sales tax on items used in an indoor controlled environment agriculture facility. And it is my pleasure to sign House Bill 1563 with a pen that works. We're getting there. There we go. Awesome. Delegate Fowler, thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Bless you. Okay, this is the companion bill, Senate Bill 1240. And the patron of this bill was Senator Mark Obenshain, and his chief co-patron was Senator Mark Peet. And again, in case you were confused, this bill eliminates the sales tax on items used in an indoor controlled environment agriculture facility. Here we go, Senator. Let's sign this bill. Awesome. Senator, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. I guess it's time to go to work. Let's go grow some stuff. Here we go. Here we go. Thank you all very, very much. So I got 4 going to get handed out right now. I'm going to go find some more. But I'm going to give 2 to our friends from the FFA, 2 to our friends from 4-H, and then I'm going to go find some more.